Ukraine and the United States are closing in on an agreement that would grant Washington a share of Kiev's natural resources. This was confirmed by President Donald Trump and a senior Ukrainian government official after an intense pressure campaign from the American president to strike a deal. Trump said that President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine may come to the White House this week or even next week to sign the agreement. Trump said the agreement's now being worked on. They're very close to a final deal, even as he was flanked by French President Emmanuel Macron, who was on a visit to the White House.
We must have an agreement with Ukraine on critical minerals and rare earths and various other things as security. And I think that that's happening. I think we've made a lot of progress. I had a report just given to me before walking in that we've made Emmanuel a great deal of progress toward getting that.
Earlier in that day, Ukraine's deputy prime minister took to X and posted that Ukrainian and US teams are in the final stages of negotiations regarding the minerals agreement. The question of mineral wealth of Ukraine is tied up in conflicts over US military and financial aid to Ukraine and how to end the war. Zelensky has said that Ukraine must have Western arms and backing in any peace deal to prevent a future Russian assault. Trump, on the other hand, has insisted that the war must end quickly without offering any security guarantees. This economic agreement with Ukraine will not be a guarantee of any future aid for war, neither will it include any commitment of US personnel in the region. That is the insistence of the White House. President Vladimir Putin of Russia also appealed to Trump's interests in natural resources, telling a state television reporter that Russia's deposits of rare earth minerals, which are used in high-tech manufacturing, were of much greater magnitude than Ukraine's. He also said that Russia could work with American companies to help develop these deposits, even those which are to be found inside Russian-occupied Ukraine. The interview, which was shown on state television, shows Putin working hard to appeal to Trump's interests in deal-making and in profits. It came even as Trump has swung American foreign policy in Putin's favor at a rather dizzying speed. He had a long phone call with Putin earlier this month, followed by the first high-level contact between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Riyadh last week. And now it was further underscored by the United States siding with Russia in a vote at the United Nations on Monday on the third anniversary of the Ukraine war. It is the first time that Russia and America have voted on the same side since this war began. The draft of the minerals agreement between the United States and Ukraine includes a demand that Ukraine commit itself to giving the US $500 billion in revenue that is generated from natural resources, including oil and gas and minerals. The White House has described this request as compensation for American military aid, but Ukraine has been defiant, saying that would create a huge financial burden for future generations. In fact, the Kiel Institute estimates that since the war began 3 years ago, the United States has given close to $120 billion in military and non-military assistance to Ukraine. Trump now wants some of that money back. Also, the United States is not offering any security guarantees to deter further Russian aggression against Ukraine, which Ukraine has been asking for. The request for American-backed security guarantees has been a standing demand of President Zelensky. The absence of any guarantees was one of the reasons why the Ukrainian leader has been refusing to sign previous draft agreements. The agreement proposes the establishment of a co-managed fund to support Ukraine's economic development, particularly its mineral development. The US seeks preferential access to Ukraine's critical minerals like lithium, graphite, and other rare earth elements. Ukraine is pushing for security guarantees in a bid to deter future Russian aggression. Those have not been clearly outlined in the draft agreement. In fact, the initial draft seems to suggest a significant portion of the profits from these rare earth minerals could go to the United States, but the terms of that have been contested by Ukraine. Under the terms of the draft agreement, Ukraine would have to relinquish half of the revenues from any future monetization of its natural resources, which means 50% of any monies that Ukraine hopes to get out of the extraction of these natural resources will go to the United States. The revenues would be directed to a fund in which the United States would hold the maximum percentage of financial interest that is allowed under US law. The White House has argued that the mere presence of American economic interests in Ukraine would deter future Russian aggression. The White House insists that there doesn't need to be specific security guarantees spelt out in the deal. Kiev estimates that about 5% of the world's critical raw materials are in Ukraine. This includes about 19 million tons of proven reserves of graphite, which the Ukrainian Geological Survey says makes the country one of the top 5 leading reserves for the supply of graphite. Graphite is used to make batteries for electric vehicles. Ukraine also has a third of all European lithium deposits, the key component in making batteries. And prior to the Russian invasion, Ukraine's global share of titanium production, which is a lightweight metal that is used in the construction of aeroplanes and power stations, was about 7% of all global reserves. All right, so it's 3 years since the Ukraine war began. Mr. Trump seems to be in a hurry to end this war without Ukraine's participation or consent, or for that matter, that of the Europeans. Let me now go across to Mr. Oleksiy Goncharenko. He's a Ukrainian member of parliament. Thank you very much for speaking with us. It's 3 years since this war began. There was a vote at the UN yesterday. For the first time, Russia and America seem to be on the same side. Mr. Trump has said that he wants to quickly end this war with or without Ukrainian participation. What is the prevailing mood in Ukraine right now as to directionally where this war is going and Mr. Trump's hurry in wanting to put an end to this war?
Hello. Ukraine wants peace more than anybody else in the world because it's Ukrainians who are dying, unfortunately, every day. And we want peace. And we hope that President Trump can achieve the deal with the Russians. For us, the most important is not who is at the table. I would like to see the Ukrainians, but if there is no Ukrainians there, I think we just need to be clear about our red lines, about what is important for Ukraine, what is crucial for Ukraine. If it will not be achieved in a deal, this deal will not happen because it's Ukrainians who are fighting, it's not Americans or anybody else. We value support of our allies. We're thankful for them, to them for this. But again, that's who we are fighting. So what is crucial for Ukraine? Crucial is, first, even if the hostilities will end with some Ukrainian territories still occupied by Russians, and it looks like it's possible, very possible, we will never accept that they are Russia. And nobody in the world should do. And there is international law. This territories is Ukrainian territories. Yeah, they are today illegally occupied by Russia. And it looks like for some time they will be illegally occupied by Russia, but it is illegal occupation. This is important. One day Russian Empire, the last colonial empire in Europe, will fall apart. And we will, like it happened 100 years ago with Russian Empire, 30 years ago with Soviet Union. That will happen with them again. And we will regain control over our territories. Second, we are a sovereign nation. What does it mean? It means, so we need to protect our sovereignty. Sovereignty means that the country makes its choices itself. So where to go, what army to have, what alliances to join. This is very important. And 3, security guarantees. So that Ukraine should receive security guarantees because we don't believe Putin, we don't believe Russia, and you should not believe them. If they will have possibility to attack, they will attack again. So they need to be prevented from new aggression by some security guarantees.
But Mr. Trump has said those last 2 points, which is security guarantees and any form of membership to NATO, even at a future date, both are off the table.
Speaking about NATO, yeah, I said that it should be a right of Ukraine where to go, but it's the right of NATO countries to take us or not. That is their sovereign right to decide what they do. They want to see us there or not. But NATO is not the only possible alliance which exists in the world. So Ukraine should be free in its own choices where to go. If these partners don't want to see us there now, okay. But first of all, maybe they will change their position. And, I would tell you, Ukraine today is 1 million battle-hardened soldiers. Such army has only one other country in the world. It's Russian Federation. Even United States There's not so many infantry battle-hardened in the war of 21st century. So I think the day will come when other countries, today Ukraine is importer of security, but immediately after hostilities will end, Ukraine will be exporter of security. So I think Ukraine will be needed. But again, it will be decision, but it should be our sovereign decision. And speaking about security guarantees, President Trump said it should Europe care about this. Okay, let's Europe care about this. We're not against. European countries are our allies. And it can be European boots on the ground in Ukraine, other kind of guarantees. Okay.
Mr. Trump is also negotiating a minerals deal. He wants lithium and graphite and other rare earth elements. He wants, half of revenues to be generated from the extraction of those minerals to go into a fund where America will have the majority stake. He wants $500 billion sort of post-dated compensation for the money that America has spent in the Ukraine war. Is any of this acceptable to Ukraine?
Look, there is a lot of rhetorics. There is no deal for the moment. So we need to discuss kind of an actual deal. Speaking about, for example, $500 billion, already President Trump doesn't say this. Last his post in Truth Social, he says speaking about tens of billions of dollars. But tens of billions of dollars is not 500, definitely. So there were never $500 billion. Ukraine never received $500 billion from United States. No, Ukraine also have not received $350 billion. That's also will never receive this. So it should be a fair deal about economic cooperation, and we're absolutely open to this. Speaking about any bills, we can go very far away by like this. If we will start to come and say who gave whom what and how to calculate it and estimate it, there were kind of there were conditions when this money were given. They were given as a support, as a grant. Ukraine is not calculating how much did our nuclear weapons cost in 1994 when we voluntarily gave it up. It's cost hundreds of billions of dollars. But it was our decision. We decided that in order for non-proliferation policy, we gave up it. And unfortunately, the guarantees which we received from our partners, I don't speak about Russia, it's clear they always lie. But United States and United Kingdom, we don't see these guarantees now. So, I mean, we are open to any negotiations, but they should be fair to Ukrainian people.
All right, Mr. Goncharenko, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Alexei Goncharenko,
Thank you very much.
Ukrainian member of parliament. Thank you.
Thank you.